All right, so let's work on some application problems and then we'll do some other types of problems here in a little bit. So the average California cow can produce 2,305 gallons of milk annually. How much milk can a cow produce each day? Round to the nearest hundredth of a gallon. All right, well, if we take our value here of 2,305 gallons in a year, well, how many days are in a year? Well, there's going to be 365 days in a year. So if we divide 2305 by 365, that should be the number of gallons in one day. So what we're going to do is 365 into 2305 point. Now we want to the hundredth, so we have to have to the 3 decimals. So we'll go ahead and put our 3 decimals, and we know to stop once we get to that point. All right, so 36 times what will give us the 23? So 365 times, 3 times 6 will give us 18. If we do times 7, it'll give us 21, but that might make that too big. So let's try 6. So 5 times 6 is 30. That's 36, 39. That's 18, 19, 20, 21. All right, so that looks like it might work there. So let's make this 6. That's 2190. Subtract that off. So 5 minus 0 is 5. Well, now we have to borrow here. So that's going to give us 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. So that's less than 365. So that looks good. So now we bring down our 0. All right, so now we have to have a number that's less than 6. So 365 times maybe, if we do 3, might work because that'll give us a 9. That carries 1. So if you multiply here, that's 15, 18, 19, 9, 10. All right, so that looks good. So we have a 3. So that's a 1095. Subtract that off. All right, so we're going to have to borrow all the way from here. So that's going to give us 14. All right, so a 10 minus 5 is 5. And then 9 plus 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 is 5 again. So now we bring down another 0. Well, that's just going to go in once. And so we have 365. So subtract that off. So we borrow, that's a 4, that's a 14. 10 minus 5 again is 5. That's going to be an 8. That's going to be a 1. Now again, we bring down our last 0. All right, so 365 times maybe 5 might work. Let's try that. That's 25. That's 32. That's 15 plus 3, so that's 18. So that looks good. So that's a 5. And that's going to be 1825. Subtract that off. That's going to give us 25 as are left over. But we're going to round to the hundredth of a gallon. So we're done basically at this point. So we don't care if we're not done with the remainder. And so this is what we're rounding to. This is our rounding digit. That's greater than or equal to 5, so it means we're going to round that up. So that gives us 6.32 gallons per day is how much that cow is going to produce in California. Okay, so that's how we would do that one. And again, we have to kind of see where we want to round to, and then we just have to go one more step beyond that to get to that rounding digit. All right, what about this one? All right, so this one says we're going to be given A, B, C, and D, and we just need to plug into the expression and then simplify. So we're going to use PEMDAS again. So if we do this, we're going to have A, which is 9.3, times B, which is 6.6, minus C, which is 14.27, divided by D, which is a negative 0.2. All right. So it looks like first we have to multiply those two together. Then we're going to have to subtract that. So that's going to be second. And then third, we'll actually do the long division. All right. So looks like first we have to multiply. So 9.3 times 6.6. So 6 times 3 is 18. 9 times 6 is 54, plus 1 is 55. And now we have the same thing, 855. Now we add it together. We have 8. That's going to be 13. It's going to be 11. That's going to be 6. And we moved it 1, 2 spaces. So it gives us 61.38. So if we go back over here, that's going to give us 61.38 minus. Now we can go ahead and just put 14.27. And that's all going to be divided by 0.2 that's negative. All right, so this is larger than this. So basically, at this point, we can just subtract off 14.27. So now we take 8 minus 7 is 1, 3 minus 2 is 1, bring down our period. Now we have to borrow, so that's a 5, so we have 11. So that's going to be a 7, and that's 5 minus 1 is 4. And so this then becomes 47.11 divided by a negative 0.2. Well, what do we know? Well, our answer is going to be negative. And so what do we also have to do? Well, we have to move a decimal over 1 here. So we have to move it over 1 here. And so now we divide 2 into 471.1. All right. So now we have to do that division. So 2 goes into 4 twice. That's 4. Subtract, that's 0. Bring down our 7. Well, that'll go in 3 times. That's going to be 6. Subtract, that's 1. Now we bring down another 1. Now 2 will go in here 5 times. That's going to give us 10. Subtract, that's going to be 1. Bring down our 1 again. And that's going to be another 5. And so that's going to be 10. Subtract 1. Now we're going to go for a 0 here for a remainder. So we have to add a 0. And we bring that down. That's 10. Well, that's 5. We saw that before. And now we have our answer. So the answer is going to be 235.55, and it's negative. And so that should be our final answer. Okay, let's go ahead and circle that. And so again, we first had to take the 9.3 times 6.6. After that, we subtracted off 14.27. After that, we divided by the negative 0.2. And remember, when you divide by the decimal, you have to move it over 1 here. So you have to move it over 1 here. And then we get our final answer. All right, so here we want to divide, and we want to get to the nearest 10th, and we want to get to the nearest 10,000. So we're going to have B and A. So the 10,000th means we're going to have to go out to the 100,000th place. So if we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is our 10th, 100th, 1000th, 10,000th. So that's going to be the, what we want to round to. So we have to go out to that many places. So we have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decimal places when we divide here. All right, so 41 into, and we have 3 point, we have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get to that 100,000th, because that's 10th, 100,000th, 10,000th, 100,000th. All right. All right, so that's 0. 41 goes into 30, also 0. Now 41 goes into 300. Well, let's multiply 41 times, well, if we take it times 7, that will give us 28. So that'll be 7, that'll be 28. So that's going to be 287. Subtract that, so it's a 2, it's a 9. So 10 minus 7 is 3, 9 minus 8 is 1, that's 0. And we have a 0 here. All right, 41 times, if we do 3, that'll be 12. So it'll be 3, 12, 123, so that looks good. All right, so that's 123. Subtract that, so that's a 2. So we have a 7, 0. Well, that will only go in 1 time, and that's going to be 41. So we subtract that, so it's a 6, 10. 10 minus 1 is 9. 6 minus 4 is 2. Bring down that next 0. And so, well, I'm going to use 7 again here. And that's going to give me 287. So then if I subtract that, that's 3. Now I've got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 digits, which is what I need. And so now I can basically stop. And so what we need to do is round to the nearest 10th, which is this one, and to the nearest 10,000th, which is this one. So for A, we have 0.07317. We round to this position, so that's a rounding digit. Well, that is greater than or equal to 5. So that says we have 0.1 as our answer, rounded to the nearest tenth. Now B, 0.07317, and we want to round to the nearest 10,000th. Well, this one is going to be greater than or equal to 5 as well, and so it's going to round that up. And so we're going to get 0.0732 to the nearest 10,000th. So that's 10, 100th, 1,000th, 10,000th. And so that would be our answer for that one. All right, so here we got a nice one, a power of 10. And so here we have n is equal to 5. And so we're going to move left 5 spaces. So if we write that out, we have 2.543. And let's add some zeros here. And we're going to move left 5 spaces. So we're going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that gives us 0 point. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. 2, 5, 4, 3. And then that would be our answer because we just had n is equal to 5. So we moved left 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so this one we have a positive or a negative divided by a positive, so we know our answer is negative. And then all we have to do is do the division. So first thing first, we move 2 spaces here to get a whole number in the denominator. And we move 2 spaces here. And so we have 85 into 637.5. All right. So now we just have to do this division. And so if we think about this, 85, 8 goes into what to get to 63? If we take it times 8 is 64. So let's try 7. I don't know, maybe that works. So that'll be 35. That's going to be 56, 57, 58, 59. So let's try that and see what we get. So that's 595. Subtract that. So 7 minus 5 is going to be a 2. Now we have to borrow 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that's a 4. That's less than 85, so we're good there. Now a 5. Well, here I'm going to try a 5 just because 5 times 5 is 25. That's going to be 42. And so it looks like our answer is 425. Subtract that, that's 0. So our overall answer is a negative 7.5. Okay, so a lot of these, when they're just like this by themselves, it seems to be they're coming out nicely to come out so they don't have a lot of decimal places. Others where they say, oh, round to the nearest 10,000th, that means they're not going to come out nicely. And so you have to go for quite a ways to get to whatever the position is you need to round to. So they could have said round to the nearest 100,000th or, even longer. So you just kind of have to watch and see what it is. But a lot of them seem to be turning out nicely here. All right, so let's divide this one. This one, we have whole number here and just a decimal, so hopefully this will be a fairly easy one to work with. 12.32, our decimal goes here, that goes in 0 times. So 44 times 3 will give us 12. And so if we take that as 12, that's 13. That's too big, so we have to multiply it by 2 instead. So that's going to give us 88. So subtract that, so that's going to be 0, that's going to be 11, so that's going to give us a 5, that's going to give us a 3, bring down a 2. All right, so 44 times, if we take it times 8, that'll give us a 2 here, so that's going to be a 32. 32 plus 3 is 35, and so that's going to give us 8. So that's going to give us 352. If we subtract that, that's 0. And so that's going to be 0.28 for our final solution. All right, so the next one looks like back to moving decimal places in the denominator as well as the numerator. So we move it 1, 2 here, and we move it 1, 2 here. And so now we have 85 into 637.5. And we put our decimal there. So we have 85 times, if we do 8, that's 64. That's too big, so let's try 7. So 7 times 5 is 35, and that's going to be 56, 57, 59. Did I already do this one? This looks familiar. I did. Oh, but one's positive, one's negative. Well, guess what? It's going to be the same number, except it's going to be positive. So that's just going to be 7.5. So I have to be careful when I write my numbers down to make sure I do this. So that's going to be a 7. That's 595. Subtract that off. That's 2. Carry, so that's 1. And that's going to be 9. 4, 5. And then we said that 85 times 5. That's 25. That's 42. And so that was our 5, so that's 425, subtract that, that's 0. And now we have the positive 7.5. All right, that's all I have for this set of numbers as well.